waaye moom itam ci dimbale jullit ñi yaatu na rawatina ci weeru koor a waxtu aj lépp lum ci man mu ngi ko ciy def ñu ngi koy ñaanal moom itam yàlla dimbale ko lim bëgg ci réew mi yëpp yàlla defal ñu ko mooy jàmm ju sax ànd ak sutura ànd ak teraanga wërsëg wu yaatu ak yokku jëm kanam kenn ku ne yàlla yokk jigéen ñi neen ci sëy yàlla barkel seen sëy ñu amul jëkkër yàlla may leen jëkkër yu baax te itam ñu muñal leen te téye leen kontaan nañ trop ci ndogu li ñu ngi sant yàlla bu baax a baax li ñu manqué rek mooy suma jarbaat fekk Alaaji Badara waaye dina ko mën a seet ci kaset bi incha allah Imam Ndiaye Imam Diallo yéen ak mbooloo mi suñ set bi noo indi teranga ji ci turi Grts muy aji Maam Dieng ak ñim àndal ñu ngi leen di ñaanal أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين برحمة اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم صلاة تفتح لنا باب الخير والرضا والتيسير والغفران بها من الشر والتعزير تكون لنا بها ولي ونصير أنت ولينا مولانا فنعم المولى نعم النصير دعوة في سبحانك اللهم تيتم فيها السلام وآخر دعوينا الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين حرمة لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم آمين.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome again to Discovering Truth, and I am Pastor Forbes from Abiding Word Ministries. Tonight I just want to discuss a one-part subject, just remembering that last week we looked at something very critical and important in our lives as to the fact that the seed that we are given in life, as per our giftings, our educations, our talent, and everything that we get, can always be easily overlooked because it's small, sometimes it's intangible, but when the fruit shows, it shows mighty. And we saw in the scriptures how there was a parable of servants who were given very little seeds, if you like, minas, but then when they were faithful, they were given great things. I want to discuss something that touches on questions that I get asked a lot. I am, by my numerous travels and in quite a number of places that I get to, I meet all kinds of people, but most especially when it's Gambians, my own fellow country people, people ask me, how come you have been doing this for such a long time? I meet people in all kinds of countries, in all the continents, and it's like, is your program still on? I used to watch you when I was a young boy. I used to watch you when I was a young girl. That's true because the program is about 17 years old. So anybody who was watching us when they were 4, 5, 6 are probably in their 21, 22, and 23rd year, and that some are even graduates now. Some are medical doctors, some are people with MBs and all that. And just before I came into the studio for this program, somebody made mention of the fact that he has been doing what he has been doing for 17 years, and he's doing it because he takes inspiration from two people, and one of them, he said, was Pastor Forbes. There are numerous answers I can give to the question of how come and why and where does the energy come and all that, because I'm quite frankly doing this for 17 years, amongst many other things that are obligations in my life, sit on different things. But one most important thing for me, which I want to use as my subject for tonight, is the word foundation. Is the word foundation. So I'm going to read a portion of scriptures from the Bible where Jesus Christ spoke a parable that had to do with foundations, and from there I'll discuss in a brief time some thoughts about our foundations. There is a popular teaching series of the Lord Jesus Christ called the Sermon on the Mount. History has it that it went on for 3 days. He was just teaching and speaking to the people over a 3-day period. And when he ended, this is what he ended with. So we are looking at the first gospel in the New Testament of the Bible. That's the gospel according to Matthew. Matthew was one of the many people who were around when Jesus Christ was speaking. And Jesus Christ is being quoted by Matthew in chapter 7 of his book, and from verse 24 down to 29. It says, and I quote, "Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them," not just hearing them, but does them, "I will liken him unto a wise person who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew and beat upon that house. But it did not fall, because it was founded on the rock." Its foundation was a rocky foundation. Verse 26, Jesus Christ continues, "But everyone who hears these sayings of mine, these teachings, these precepts, these principles, everyone who hears my doctrine and does not do them will be like a foolish person who built his house also, but he built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew, and they beat upon the house, and it fell, and great was its fall." And so it was, when Jesus Christ had ended these sayings, that the people were astonished at this type of teaching, for he taught them as one having authority, somebody knowing what he's talking about, somebody who is a guru, a master in his field. And he did not teach them as one of their scribes whom they had listened to. So what are the core issues here? One, Jesus Christ is likening humanity, people, you that's listening to me tonight, myself that's speaking. He is likening us to two kinds of people. And it's almost as if he is saying that in human society, in the global family, we are going to be divided into two kinds of people. I often say that success is predictable as failure is predictable. People do not stumble into success. If they stumble into success, or prosperity for that matter, they will lose it. You do not stumble into failure. You can see somebody's life, you can look at the most dominant principle, practice, and thought in their life. If you give somebody $1,000 8 o'clock a.m. and you ask him to give you an account of what he used that $1,000 by 8 o'clock p.m., the account can tell you where his life is headed. If he pays all his debts, then maybe he's conscious of canceling his debts before he rejoices. If he goes to buy PS2 games, then it tells you where he's going to. If she runs to buy extra high eyelashes and Brazilian hair, it tells you where she's going to. If they go to the library, it tells you where they're going to. If they just go and buy shawarma upon shawarma upon shawarma and buy for their friends, it tells you where they're going to. So the destination of our human life in terms of our economic abilities and what we can do and what we can become influential in is a function of our foundation. And foundations come not just by hearing. The difference between these two groups of people, one being called wise and the other being called foolish, is not because their facial expressions are excitable and the other one is dull. It's not because one is an extrovert and the other one is a recluse or an introvert. No, the difference is that even though, whereas they both hear, the